Check, check, check. It is 6:02. I'd like to call the regular meeting for Tuesday, August 12th of the Lake Worth Beach Community Redevelopment Agency to order. Roll call, please.
Miss Donna Kerner,
Here.
Mr. Drew Bartlett,
Here.
Mr. Daniel Morgan,
Here.
Miss Leah Furge,
Here.
Miss Carla Blockson,
Here.
Miss Caroline Shamshi Basha is not present.
Would everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, do we have any additions, deletions, or reordering of the agenda? Okay, now we have public comment on non-agenda items. If you would like to make a public comment on non-agenda items, please come up to the podium.
I'm on.
Yes, it is. It's on.
No, it's not.
It's not.
Oh.
We can hear you.
There you go.
Can you hear me now?
I think we.
I try not to say that because it's such an overused term. Can you hear me now? You know what I'm saying? Like, okay. So I wanted to come tonight and talk about the fact that you people are going to be voting on this parking garage situation, which is actually an indirect vote for paid parking downtown. And so I think that you should vote no on that and shift the onus from yourself so that the commission has the onus of this vote onto you so that you get to be the henchman. You get to be the butcher. You know, so that they can sidestep that. And I think that you ought to shift that back over to them and say something to the effect that, you know, are we really going to build a parking tower that nobody wants? And the decision whether we're going to be a paid parking downtown has not been struck yet. It's bizarre. You just have to vote no. And while I'm here and while you're not calling me on time, my work is much better than yours. My work is much better than theirs. And my work is much better than the designers for the garage. I've designed a one-story garage in the current footprint that we have now, okay, which would make every space out there covered in August and September. It would have ramps onto each street, which is going to divide up the traffic. It would put a ton of parking behind 2J's and a ton of parking behind the theater. And it would alleviate the valet situation 100%, right? No more problems with the valet. And it would actually allow, so we've had all this talk about trees and canopy, and we don't want to have people parking downtown, so we can be a walking town and put tables out and have people do their drinking out front, which I like. My garage would do that. Theirs doesn't do anything about that. Their garage, frankly, compounds the problem, compounds the issue. And so don't be the butcher. Vote no. Thank you very much.
If there's anyone else who would like to make a comment on non-agenda items, please step up. Thank you. Now we have a motion for the consent agenda.
I'll move approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Is there time for any question?
This is a consent agenda, so did you have a question?
I did. I just had one question.
Go ahead.
Yeah, that's okay. That's your bad. Oh, sorry. David, it's not because I'm not for what's going on. I just wanted to get a little bit more nuance to this in terms of what percentage of the work would you be doing versus the paralegals and the clerks? Because it's the obvious question given the price difference or the cost per hour.
David Tolsis, CRA attorney. So I do primarily, I'd say 90% of the legal work for the CRA that comes to my firm. My paralegal, she focuses on the real estate. So all the real estate transactions is billed at her rate. And, you know, to the extent I have to review documents during the proceeding, then I bill at my hourly rate.
Okay. So WMODA and these kind of things that are going on right now, that would be,
Primarily myself and my law partners who are working to review the agreements. So we're, you know, busy doing that at the hourly rate. But when it comes to the real estate transactions, that's the paralegal.
thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Any additional questions? I think we have a motion and a second on the consent agenda item for legal services. All those in favor? Aye. It passes unanimously. Thank you. And we're to our action agenda. The CRA fiscal year 25-26 budget adoption and resolution. Joan?
Good evening, Board. At our last meeting in July, the board made no changes to the proposed operating debt service and capital budgets that were presented. Since that time, we have gotten an update from the property appraiser, which results in a small addition of $117,000, which just allows us to take less of our money from fund balance in order to make the budget work for next year. So unless there's any other questions or any other changes that you guys would like to see in the budget, we're recommending that the board pass the resolution adopting the budget.
Let's have a motion and then we can do a second and we can have discussion and public comment.
I can make a motion to adopt to adopt the resolution number 2601, Exhibit C, adopting the FY 2025 and 2026 CRA budget.
Second.
At this time, we are going to have a discussion and let's go with public comment. Is there public comment on this item? We are talking about the budget for 25-26. If there's anyone who would like to make a public comment, please step forward. Okay, now we can have discussion. I like some of the additions that we included, and it's nice that, you know, when we ask Joan to go back and research something or look into it, she will add it to the budget and make it so that we understand it. Do we have any further discussion? Okay, we have covered our motion, second, discussion, public comment, and a vote. All those in favor of adopting the 25-26 budget, say aye.
Aye.
I'm sorry, did we get an A or aye? All ayes, pass unanimously. Thank you. At this time, we're going to do item B, the interlocal agreement between the CRA and the City of Lake Worth Beach for transfer of real property and lease back for the development of the K Street Garage.
Good evening again. This item being brought before you is in regards to CRA property that the city would need in order to do the city garage that they are planning on. So the city owns 13 and 19 South K. The CRA owns 25 South K, 704 and 710 First Avenue South, all which would need to be assembled to do the garage. So the plan we have is to actually transfer all the properties to the city, but then to lease it back to the CRA. So we can take out the note for the $3.5 million, which would be needed in order to fund the garage. The CRA would then hold on to the property for 5 years while we pay off that note, and the CRA would be in charge of making all the payments to it. And then once that's all done, of course, the garage goes to the city for their operations, maintenance, etc. So in your packet, you have an interlocal agreement that kind of spells all of that out to you. And if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
Okay, before we move on to our discussion, let's have a motion and a second. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion that the board reviews and executes the interlocal agreement between the City of Lake Worth Beach and the Lake Worth Beach Community Redevelopment Agency.
Second.
Motion and discussion. Before we have our discussion, I'd like to have public comment on this item. If you would like to make a public comment regarding the interlocal agreement between the CRA and the city of Lake Worth Beach regarding these properties, please step forward.
Hello. Hi, my name is Todd Townsend, 502 South J Street. You know, in an age where the state of Florida is just really interested in just going after all of our parks and places to build more square footage, you would think that Lake Worth Beach, being such a forward-thinking place, would want to use every place possible to make a park. We need parks. We need to set the example. You know, we're only getting an example of people just butchering down areas that could be parks and then wanting to build square footage. They're cutting down the cool out of our city, and we're really losing a lot from that one little space right there. That should be a cute little pocket park, and that's what that should be. It shouldn't be a, you know, it's just like another part of the giveaway to WMOTA. Now all of a sudden WMOTA's got all this stuff cornered out, and we got this, and you people can screw and all this and that. And then all of a sudden the CRA is like, why don't we just add this other big parcel in as part of your situation going on there? It's a bummer. It's so uncool. I don't get it. And these people like vote themselves like to get like awards and stuff. Like, come on, man. Is anybody really watching what's going on here? Thank you.
If there's anyone else who would like to make a public comment?
Good evening, board. My name is John Zerdy. I'm at 217 South Palm Way. I think in contrast to some opinions around the city, you know, I've been doing projects in different cities for over 40 years, and I would just like to say that these parking garages and all usually are proactive if they're done right. This parking garage here will stimulate things, but it also is going to be very sustainable because it does create more parking on smaller ground footprint, and you will have a lot of coverage on it. Usually those things take a couple years to 3 years to even do them. And by the time you think you really need them, it's you past the point where everything is a lot harder to do and more expensive for that. So in terms of this, I think this board is also, with Joan and her staff, is leading the vision that the city has to put us in a spot that should help tremendously set the tone of what we can accept and not spread out all these cars on the hot asphalt all over the place, which is pretty indicative of things in areas. We're one of the last areas on the Gold Coast here that hasn't been able to move forward to a point where we can balance some of these things. We have a lot of parks, and I don't live too far from Bryant Park, a wonderful park there on the Intercoastal. But I think that this is a big move for the city. Been waiting for certain things to happen around here for quite a while, as a lot of you have. So I'm very excited about it, and I hope you do vote for this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Greg Richter, 1202 South Palm Way. Like the previous speaker, I actually think this is pretty cool. This is what we need. I've been to every business downtown more than once, you know, as I was out campaigning for office. And I not one business said, please don't put the parking garage here. They want it. They need it. They know the problem. We have a problem now, but even further down the road, when we do get WMOTA here, when we have the urban density here that will support the empty storefronts that we have here right now, this is all a step in the right direction. Plus, I give kudos to all of you for the creativeness that you've come up with in how you're paying this off. The city's not stuck with a 20-year bond that we're paying off. This is really creative. This is really good. And this is great work. Thank you very much.
Excuse me. I think you've exhausted your 3 minutes. If there's anyone else who'd like to make a public comment.
Janet Serrano, 413 North L Street. I'm sure some of you have noticed the signs around town on some of our postings about WMOTA costing 19.6 million or whatever it is. I just really like to see the people stop conflating the issue of the garage with WMOTA. I know that you all know that both the 2018 and 2024 studies by WGI did recommend a parking garage downtown. And this was 2018 was long before WMOTA entered the picture. So whether folks are for or against it, I just wish they would make their decision based on the facts and stop saying we're getting the garage because of WMOTA. I mean, it's a golden opportunity. We need it. We've got that $1 million contribution from them, and then we've got those very favorable loan terms. So I urge you to support it. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Okay, board, time for discussion. Do you have any questions or concerns? Daniel, want to start with you?
The parking garage is a bad investment. The proof is right next to us in the Bohemian. WMOTA definitely needs that extra parking. That's another subsidy to them. We're investing tons of money to gain very few parking spots. Overall, I believe that from the beginning, there was an understanding, at least from the developers or from our staff, that paid parking was going to come along with this project. And I think the CRA has not been upfront with that.
That's right.
And so
Right.
I believe the people have been fed some information, but never the whole package. I think it's deception by us. In regards to the inflation of the numbers, there's no better example than claiming that the land worth so many years ago is worth the same now. So I've said a lot about this parking garage. I'm against it. It's a bad investment. Yeah, you can tell people, hey, we're gonna build a parking garage. What do you think about that? They'll probably say yes, great. But do they know how much they're gonna have to be paying for the parking? Do they know they're gonna have their on-street parking taken away from them? It's about the whole picture and not just the way we like to portray things. So I'm against it.
Donna?
Let's put my mic on. One of the concerns that I have is this came up at the HRPB meeting the last month, and I don't know that it's clear. I know this is only the spelling out the interlocal agreement between the city and the CRA, but is there any knowledge at this point of two things, like where will the K Street garage extend to? Where are the boundaries? Because I think that was one of the things that was coming up. And the other would be the relocation of the contributing structures. It seemed like there were going to be 3 that were going to be relocated. I know we had several meetings about it. And then in the end, there's only one that's being addressed. So can anybody shed any light on this? I'm going to look at you, Joan.
Unfortunately, I cannot. The city has not made a decision whether or not they are going to extend the garage all the way to First, or if they are going to put 17 South M and the garage behind it on that particular lot or not. I believe they're going to have to make that decision relatively soon for us to get the proper price in order to move forward. But the design of it is not complete yet.
So, yeah, so just if I could just follow, because I think it would beg the question, and I know this came up with HRPB, like how do you do a COA if you don't know the confines or the extent of things? So like how do we fully say we could do this interlocal today without knowing yet what we're actually saying yes to?
Well, regardless of the interlocal, this basically just says we're giving the city the property. So whether they use it for a parking garage or they use it to put, the other homes there, it's up to them.
If I could, this agreement is consistent with all the other prior agreements that have already been approved with respect to the use of the properties, the placement of the garage, the funding of the garage. This is strictly establishing the necessary legal relationship between the city and the CRA to effectuate the transfer of the parcels and the funding of the garage.
again, I'm sorry, just to kind of preface it by saying, I know it's not the interlocal per se, but I want to raise some of the concerns that I'm hearing from the public, because as we know, we're all sort of stewards of the money, but also we're trying to listen to the voices that we're hearing. Daniel, I'm sure, like, I've heard many of the same things you have, but one of the things that's come up lately, and I think there are two things again, is like, so the maintenance in this like three-legged stool, like it's shared, the maintenance of the garage afterwards. So I'm just wondering, yes, it is Ramsey. I see that it's spelled out here. It's the city that's gonna
The city,
it's gonna do this, but in the interim, there's the CRA that's gonna be involved. Is that correct or no?
No, we are only responsible for overseeing the construction along with the city and then making the payments. Everything as far as construction management or operations, or gosh forbid something goes wrong, that's all on the city. We don't have the resources or the skills, quite frankly, to do something like that.
Do you feel confident that the city can do all of that?
I think the city can figure out how to do it, sure. If they don't already.
Because just right off the bat, as I'm reading, the inspection reports, there's mention of that here, environmental studies and assessments conducted by the CRA, and I'm just wondering.
Yeah, those have already been done.
But we haven't seen those. I don't know, are those public documents at this point? Because I know here it spells out that they shall be transferred they shall be provided to the city prior to the transferring of the property. Are those public?
Yes, we did those years ago when we bought the property.
Okay, but I mean, has there anything been done more recently?
No, they've been done by the developer, not by us.
Okay.
Sure.
So basically, yeah, I think that this is one of those opportunities. The parking problem, as it was studied in Lake Worth Beach, existed before WMOTA existed. And so as WMOTA was coming together and we were working on the development agreement, there was always an issue with the L&M properties, the height, the architecture, the feel of those properties. And in the prior development that was so controversial, it was the parking that extended it higher and higher. And so the idea was, let's keep it lower. Let's put underground garage parking at the WMOTA site. And then WMOTA would partner with us to build this parking garage that we needed before WMOTA existed. And then do it on very favorable terms to the city and the CRA. And as I was looking, but one thing I was worried about was linking it to paid parking. And so as we were putting together the agreement to try to attract a museum, which we all like museums, we like art, and solve the parking problem, it was very important to us to structure the deal such that you could separate paid parking from the construction of this garage, that they were not linked. You didn't have to choose one. It wasn't necessary to choose both at the same time. And so that deal was constructed so that the garage could get built and the city was not hamstrung to require paid parking because the garage was there. So that I'm sure that decision will come to the city for many different reasons, not just because of this garage on paid parking, but in my mind, it's decoupled. It's decoupled. So what I see here is it's important for us to let the city do its job with the elected officials that are elected. They appointed us here, and I'd hate for us being appointed here to get in the way of the election decision that they need to make on how to construct the garage, supervise it, those types of things. So I think it's something we need to do. I think the city's needed it for a while, and we got a great deal before us. It's not a handout to WMOTA. It is them coming to us and providing good financing, funds, so forth, for us to have a garage into the future. So that's just the way I look at it. So I'm favorable on this, but that's my thinking.
Several points have come up, and one thing is everyone wants to say we have not been upfront about paid parking. The decision regarding paid parking is going to be made by the city commission. It is not our decision. It is not our call. What we're trying to do is facilitate some type of agreement so that this project can move forward, so the parking garage can move forward, whether we agree with the parking garage or not, because it's already been voted on. The citizens have already come out. And if people were concerned and wanted to put a sign in their yard, I would rather they show up at the meeting, the commission meeting and the CRA meeting to voice their concerns. Each time we say, would you like to make a public comment? I'm serious about listening. And so if they wanted to be concerned to say that we should not be doing this, they've had several opportunities to voice their displeasure. And I'm sorry, if you don't want to take the time to come to the meeting and complain, don't complain at home. Nobody's listening except you. So be honest and say, no, we don't want this or we don't need this. But I think that we're past that project as far as that point for this project. I think that we've made a decision and we're only doing our part to move this particular part of the project forward, to facilitate this interlocal agreement. We're not making a decision on paid parking downtown. And one thing we need to make a decision on is whether or not we're going to have a downtown parking district that is not only going to look at our parking downtown on our city streets, but the surrounding areas as it affects the neighborhoods. This is a bigger issue than whether or not we want paid parking downtown. Because if you put paid parking downtown, it's going to affect the people who live there around there because people are going to park in front of their houses. So let's realistically look at the problem instead of throwing eggs at the people who are trying to do the work. And we have gotten a favorable decision regarding the rates for the loan repayment from WMODA. Nobody else is going to do that. And when they say go out for a 20-year bond, the neighbors and the people of this city would be up in arms because we've done that before and we did not get the bang for our buck. At least this way, in 5 years, we should have it paid for. We're not hanging around for 20 years and still going back and saying, what could we do? We've made a decision, and I'd like us to move forward with it and stop making everything a fight. Every decision, everything is a fight. Either you're for it or against it, but the project is moving forward, so let's try and make the best decisions possible, including voting on this interlocal agreement between the CRA and the city. That's my comment, and I'm sorry. Leah, thank you. Leah, please give us your comment.
Well, I think you and Drew both said pretty well what I've been thinking. I've been looking at this very much as a decoupled issue, and I'm in favor of advancing. So I'm in favor of this interlocal agreement.
We've had our motion, our second, our discussion, public comment. It is time for a vote. All
Can
those,
I make a comment? And I know you do a great job, Madam Chair, as a facilitator, and it's not about going against you and it's not about everything being a fight. I just want to say that though, because the terms of what we're doing, it's a big deal. And there's been a lot of public comment at CRA meetings and as there have been in commission meetings from people who are not in favor of this. So I think without saying, let's see who shows up at meetings and they're not just, they're too lazy to get off their duffs and show up. That's not the case. And there have been over almost 1,000 people who signed a petition, including small business people who don't want paid parking downtown. So as much as we say it's decoupled, and we look at it as like one not impacting the other, just on its very merits, if you build a garage and you have paid parking, well, where are people going to go? We know they're going to go on the street. And then they're going to go into the residential neighborhoods. And there will be placards eventually, but still it won't be enough placards for a family of 4, let's say. They might get 1, they might get 2. Where are they going to go? There's going to be lots of construction for years with WMODA. So I think we have to look at the sum total of the totality of these projects and the impact on people. Even the other thing I heard about from a bunch of people last week was we don't feel safe once this big structure goes up and we're single women or we're women walking by ourselves. Is there going to be enough lighting? Will people be loitering around? How do we get in? How do we get out? What's going to be the public safety concerns? How will they be addressed? So I think we just have to look at a bunch of factors without saying you're with us or you're against us. There's a lot that goes into this, and I think we have to be respectful of those differing voices and opinions.
I'm always just respectful of the people who have an opinion, whether they agree with me or not. But that
Okay.
is not going to change my opinion. And
Okey-doke.
and I think that people who don't feel safe downtown, they don't feel safe now. So I don't know how much safer they're going to feel with the parking garage. But one thing I would like to ask is what type of security the parking garage is going to have. These are questions that we can talk about as we do the development. These
Well,
are still,
That was what I'm bringing up, the public safety issues, that a lot of these things haven't been addressed. It's sort of like saying, we want a box by 4x6. Oh, no, it's going to be 4x10. But we really can't tell you that because it could be 4x7. And there's a lot of concerns that go into it. It's not just an interlocal. That's a nice piece of paper. But I think, we get the nice piece of paper, but it would be nice, just as nice to have a bunch of answers that are thought through, that are discussed,
Mhm.
and that are decided upon
I
in
think-
advance.
I think
It's
right
like what
now,
I've said about a bunch of things that we were discussing on, and I've used the same expression. It's a giant leap of faith.
of course
And
it is.
when we keep being asked to take giant leaps of faith, and you know what happens sometimes when you leap? Nothing's beneath you, or you run, or you get into dog do, or a puddle. So we just got to be a little bit honest about things, I think, or just a little bit more in the spirit of welcoming doubts.
Well, I think that some of the questions that you posed to Joan, her answer was, this just is the city's decision and we're waiting for the city to make that decision. So the CRA is not holding up the train. I would like the city to make their decisions and tell us what they want to do, and we will certainly act accordingly. But at this time, before us, we have the interlocal agreement, and I would like a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any nays?
Aye. Let's go with it.
Okay,
I think you need to do a roll call.
I'm sorry.
I'm unclear as to who is voting yes or no on the motion, so I would recommend you do a roll call.
Okay, roll call, please, for the vote.
Nay.
Yes.
Yes.
Daniel Morgan,
Nay.
Leah Furge.
Aye, I'm voting in favor.
Motion passes 3-2.
Thank you. At this time, we will review the proposal for the CRA marketing services.
All right. Good evening, Crystal Bros for the record, Lake Worth Beach CRA. Since last year, public outreach, marketing, and branding of the city, the CRA, our mission, our activities have been a priority for the board. With that in mind, what staff has done for the past 12 months is put together a scope of work and RFP to hire a private outside marketing firm to assist with getting our message across. We did that earlier this year. An public RFP advertised for marketing, social media, and media relations services. That RFP resulted in 14 proposals being returned to us. CRA staff put together a small committee to review all these proposals, review and rank them, eventually shortlist them down to 3, interview those 3 firms in June of last year. And based on those interviews, we were able to shortlist it or narrow it down even further to our preferred firm, which is the Jacober and Associates Group. They're based out of Miami Beach. They've done a lot of work in South Florida, Dade County, Broward County, and Palm Beach as well. That firm is here. The principal and his staff are here to give a brief presentation overview of what their firm does and who they are and what they have to offer. Based on that presentation, we'd like the board to recommend that the board move forward, let staff move forward with creating an agreement to eventually hire this firm and have them start as soon as possible or next fiscal year. So with that being said, I have Paul Jacober and his staff here. Unless you have any questions for me, I'm going to have them do a quick presentation and answer any questions that you guys may have.
You have to press?
It's on.
Oh, it's on? Okay. So thank you for having us here today. I'm Paul Jacober, the owner of Jacober Creative. I am the owner of Jacober Creative as well as the creative director, and I'm here today with my business partner and director of business development, Daniel Peralta, and Joy Ganesh, our public relations and marketing manager. Yes. Yes, I'll hold it. Is that better? Fantastic. As you know, there was a formal RFP that was issued in the spring, and we submitted a formal proposal RFP, and then also did a presentation in June. And so we're here today based on an invitation to do a brief introduction of who we are and what we can do. And so we're going to share today a truncated version of our original presentation and show you how we can really help the city of Lake Worth Beach and the CRA thrive with bold branding and messaging, as well as smart marketing and results that can move the needle. And so we have a more than 25-year history of marketing and design experience, located on world-renowned Lincoln Road in Miami Beach for the past 25 years. Our path really started with arts and nonprofits organizations, and that really grew into the hospitality and real estate sectors before really developing into the breadth of different industries that we service now, like municipalities and destination marketing.
And so this is just a quick illustrated overview of some of our team members. Our leadership team consists of Paul, our creative director, Daniel, our director of client development, Robert Rosenberg, who's not here with us today, but brand strategist, and myself, the PR and marketing manager, bless you, as well as a collective of creatives, designers, publicists, illustrators, programmers, and multilingual strategists as well, all who specialize in visual storytelling. And so we think the best way to give you a better idea of who we are is showcased with who we've worked with, including a snapshot of 3 clients that have similar goals and scope as the City of Lake Worth Beach's Community Redevelopment Agency.
So from internationally recognized municipalities and public sector work, like the city of Sunny Isles Beach, to the town of Surfside and the town of Palm Beach, to major arts and cultural institutions like the Frost Museum of Science in Miami, as well as the Coral Gable Arts Cinema, as well as private enterprises like Florida's #1 real estate team, the Jills, and building powerhouses, Plaza Construction. This is really just a high level sort of tip of what we've designed and created and accomplished over the last 25 years.
And so our first example of tremendous success is Wynwood's, Miami's world famous urban arts neighborhood, the Wynwood Business Improvement District. Our team successfully positioned and promoted the 50 city block as the ideal place for both residential and commercial development, both locally and internationally. We supported local Wynwood businesses with targeted advertising campaigns, strategic PR initiatives, engaging online content, including blogs, videos, interviews, all shared across social media, as well as consistent email marketing, ultimately raising the profile of the bid as an important, effective agency.
And the town of Surfside was one of several game changers in our 25-year history that really led to a whole new industry, client base of destination marketing and municipalities. We were tasked with elevating the brand from a comprehensive 360 perspective, from visuals, logos, videos that we wove into award-winning marketing and advertising destination campaigns, as well as research and strategy. Ultimately showcasing Surfside specifically as the ideal family-friendly destination in South Florida.
And so we are currently the agency of record for the town of Palm Beach Marina. In the middle of the pandemic, we won a competitive bid to refresh their image. And at the time, the marina had just underwent a $40 million renovation. And we were charged with developing the brand, really take on monthly marketing efforts, enhancing PR initiatives, developing a strong online presence with ongoing SEO efforts and ad buys, all with the main objective for customers to reserve a slip. And we were just awarded our second 5-year contract earlier this year, which we're excited about. Overall, the contribution by the marina to the town of Palm Beach's bottom line and budget has been a win-win for all stakeholders. And so we understand that the city of Lake Worth Beach is not just another South Florida coastal town. We understand that it's a city with grit, history, and a growing national spotlight.
And Lake Worth Beach is really balancing its small town soul, historic streets, and local color with big city momentum and ambitions. And we can help steer that story so that the right people find it, the right people love it, and the right people invest in it. So in closing, we have the proven success with municipalities and bids. We know how to tell a city story, whether it's a seaside town or a vibrant arts district, and we know how to get people to pay attention. We have the creative muscle. It's about competitive, great ideas and striking designs that can really help elevate the city of Lake Worth Beach's brand recognition and, of course, community engagement. And of course, we have the expertise in destination marketing and branding. We have that deep knowledge of South Florida coastal communities, and it's been at the core of what we do since our inception over the last 25 years.
And so thank you all for your time today. We look forward to collaborating with the CRA and the city of Lake Worth Beach to bring our visions to life.
Anyone have any questions?
You have a like a snippet or a little taste of how you would pitch the city?
How we would pitch the city? Yeah, we submitted probably maybe an 80, I'm going to guess an 80-page proposal, which I believe you guys all have a copy of.
But just, just like a quick one here, like a little sound bite, a little elevator pitch would be cool.
An elevator pitch in regards to what we can do for the. Why come to Lake Worth Beach? Oh, because I'm gonna go grab back the microphone. Well, I think that probably the one of the special things about the city of Lake Worth Beach is that it is a very diverse community and very different from some of the examples that we showed you today from the town of Surfside and let's say the town of Palm Beach. And I think that the character and the different offerings, I think the local, I'm going to use it in a very positive way to say it, like mom and pop type of shops and restaurants that I think are really special and that people are looking for are here. And it has a very nice, comfortable feeling.
I don't want to put you on the spot. It's the first time I've ever made a decision for any marketing decisions. So, I'm just interested to hear experts give a little pitch. I think it's interesting. Should I just finish any comments I have and then the rest of the board do their questions? I'm hesitant about marketing. I'm no expert for sure. I like my town and I know why I like it. I don't know if the flavors for everybody. I feel it has a local vibe to it. I'm really against making yourself look like something you're not. Trying too hard to embellish, what it is that you have. There's a lot of discussion or a lot of people point to Lake Worth being in arts city, and I don't doubt there's a lot of artists and talented people in the city, but sometimes the way we go about promoting it seems disingenuous to me. And so I would love to see somebody really capture what it is Lake Worth makes Lake Worth so great. So I wish you, the best. The city would do great with if we were able to do something like that. it'll be, you know, I won't be around here for the final decision making and stuff, but yeah, I'll check it out when it comes out. So thank you for your efforts.
Thank you.
I don't have any major questions. You know, I'm glad that you guys were selected. I wish we had, I know there was a committee that went through the proposals, 13 proposals, and you were number one, you were ranked number one, which is really cool. So congratulations on that. No, I think it's like, yeah, this is a very unique place, and I like the word that you use, grit. So we're really, I think Lake Worth Beach is really, I've lived here for like 11, 12 years now, really proud of the history. As you can hear from the conversation we had about the parking, there's still lots to be decided about how this is moving. It's moving in a positive direction, but I think with lots of kinks. So I think it's not that there's hesitation, but I think there's this sense of you really want to capture the real flavor. And it's, as you know, this is a 50% Latino place in addition to white, brown, purple, pink spots and everything else. We're sanctuary city for LGBTQ. I wish we were sanctuary city for not just that, but other groups, especially with a lot that's going on politically right now. So I think it's just being aware of not just the vibe and we're trying to get investment, but the people who actually live here. So
We're a very diverse company as well.
I can see all the shades of the rainbow.
It's just on our leadership team alone, but two. Is that
Gotta hit that, yeah.
testing? Is it working?
Use
Not
that
working.
one sketch.
No, push the
Is it
button.
working?
Yes.
Okay. I was gonna, as I was saying, that two members of just our leadership team, the other person is Robert Rosenberg, who's not here, are completely bilingual and are Spanish speaking as well. And much of our campaigns, like specifically maybe in the Wynwood Arts District, required us to utilize our linguistic skills and other languages. So.
To your concern also, one of the things I said is in most communities, there will be two different opinions. There's going to be diversity, whether it be bigger or smaller, but those are elements that we have the experience of dealing with. And I think that we've been successful to be able to reconcile them and create a unique message that, you know, everybody can be invested in.
Yeah, cool. And just like for my own personal history, I used to live on South Beach when it was like still very funky and cool. And Lincoln Road was funky and cool. Way before Wynwood, when it was just a bunch of like hippies with studios, and it was just beginning in the late 80s and early 90s. So I've seen a lot of like how these how the spirit has come along and how it's grown and how creativity and investment. For my own personal taste, like it's way over the top now in South Beach. Like you gotta like make space between every form of transportation and then like very like big pecs for like muscle bound guys and making a joke. But I'm just saying it's gotten almost like overcrowded. So it's one of those things to keep in mind here, you know, like the scope and scale of the city and how we grow. And that's serious. And I think to keep that in mind, how we invest, how we move forward. But thank you. Look forward to you guys coming back with the final contract, later date.
So yeah, I was mainly, so I understand everything you're bringing. The one thing that I would think is a challenge, and I'm wondering how y'all are thinking about it, is the 1 year time frame, right? To try to make a difference versus a 5 year time frame or a longer sort of contract. So how do you tackle something in 1 year versus a longer time frame?
I believe it's a 3-year contract that we're facing.
Is it 3? Never mind.
Well, let me also stress too.
I think that's very important.
All of our work with specifically municipalities and public sector work, there's always an initial phase that's very deep in collaboration and us doing research and developing strategy, and that it's not just pretty pictures and pretty videos, but there is a strategic process behind it to try to develop the objective and who you want to try to target. So.
And that, I guess that's kind of why I was thinking it would be a challenge in 1 year. So how long does that take?
You know, it varies depending on who we worked with. You know, generally we set different timeframes depending on that.
It's very difficult. So I don't know, quickly.
Funny.
I'm done, Chairman.
Quick question. Does any of your team, you're all based in Miami Beach? Will anybody be up here?
I actually live in Palm Beach County. I'm currently purchasing a home in that area, so fingers crossed. But I've been in Palm Beach for 10 years now, and I visit Lake Worth and the beach quite frequently. Very familiar with this area and all the shops, all the people. So me.
And we're also in Palm Beach quite often because they're a client of ours as well. So
I think that the board tended to approve the budget of $260,000 to be used towards the media and marketing. And I think that that's a small amount of money, for the challenge before you. I am pleased that the CRA is initiating this also for the city of Lake Worth Beach. This isn't just making the CRA look good, it's making the city shine. And I'm really pleased about that because I think that you'll be able to showcase our diversity and also show that while we are a small town, we can have big ideas. So I'm very pleased with the project and pleased with the things that you've said so far. So thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
If we have no further questions, I can. Leah. So used to Leah sitting next to me.
I know, and I keep going on mute because there's really loud people in the hallway. I don't have anything additional. I'm excited.
At this time, I think we need a motion.
Can you go for it?
All right, I got it. So I make a motion that the board tentatively approve, let's see. What is this? That the board authorize the executive director to enter into negotiations with Joe Cober and Associates to provide annual marketing services.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, and we've had discussion. At this time, we'd have public comment. If you'd like to make a public comment on this issue, please step up to the podium.
I'm not sure if that's a dead soldier or what's going on there, but anyway. Ramsey McLeod, 24 South C Street. I am extremely excited to learn all the details about you folks. And the fact that one of the phrases he just said is mom and pop businesses. And I think the jewel of our little city is the grit from our mom and pop businesses. We've come through COVID. We're still relatively intact. We've lost some businesses, but it speaks to the history of our city. Right now in South Palm Beach County, there's no other historic city that's preserving the original architecture and structures that were built back in the 1920s. And I think that's a little gem that they can capitalize on and not market it all glossy and make us to be something we're not. But we are a little city and we get big ideas and we are making changes collectively to put a better face out there for the public. And I think emphasizing that sort of image to the public really gives us a working man feel like this is a city in Florida, but I can relate not only to the residents that live there in the diversity, but the diversity in our businesses and the diversities in the entrepreneurship that we see all over our city. And I think it's exciting to have a group like this that's well-seasoned, well-versed in the market here and elsewhere across the country to bring our little gem of a city out to the spotlight where people may not want all the glitz and the glam of Surfside or Windward and Palm Beach. But boy, I'd sure like to get the feel but still feel I can walk up and down the streets and I can walk into a store and I can afford to eat in that restaurant, or I can afford to buy a souvenir that doesn't look like a tchotchke, that has a feel from where it came from in our city. So I'm really excited that you have done all the due diligence and the staff at CRA to find such a quality marketing team. And I've done some marketing in the past for Cushman Fruit Company, so it's very limited, but the ideas, the thought process, opening your eyes to know the product that you're trying to push, in this instance, our city. I'm excited for this. I'm really excited to see what they come up with creatively. And I hope going in the future, at future meetings perhaps or something, they'll be able to give you a snippet of what they're putting out to the public to see what we're looking like in other people's eyes. And if they really captured the essence of what we are. We're in a time capsule sort of a thing, but we're pushing forward to the 21st century. And I think we're cute as a button. So thank you. I'm old. I use whole plays.
Good evening, everyone. Erin Marie Wallace. I'm at 304 North J Street. I think this was a really lovely presentation. I really appreciated the promo reels. I love seeing what they've done with Surfside. I love seeing what they've done with the other communities. I love that they recognize that Lake Worth Beach is not those communities, that we are our own separate entity. I don't expect a proposal on Lake Worth Beach. That's what you engage them for. There's no reason to have a proposal on Lake Worth Beach until you've been engaged. That's their product. The other thing I want to mention that I think is super exciting, and I'd love to see us move forward with this, they mentioned they have 2 people on their team that are bilingual. I would love to see everything that we put out be in English and in Spanish. And I think that's a really great way to highlight who we are without even saying it. That's all. Thank you guys so much.
And John Zerdy, 217 South Palm Way. I'm going to be up here next month. So I'm here to get a little feel for things that are going on with this. I'd like to understand a breakdown between the numbers, I guess that's assigned to a potential contract for them versus the actual monies that would be spent on marketing itself. Out in the, what is the full budget of expectations that they would be managing on behalf of the CRA and the city, if we might know any of where that might be. I've been here a good 20 years now myself. Very engaged in the city, sat up here in a different capacity at one time. It's Carla. And I think we look at this city as the bad word of potential. Can we reach what is the potential? And that's going to be something that you're going to find out there is, oh, that's Lake Worth. They try, could you get there? A lot of opinions on what it could be, what it shouldn't be. And I would still think that I grew up in Fort Lauderdale, okay, when it was a lot like this. Sure. It grew up in Fort Lauderdale when it was a lot like this. Not that we want to be a Fort Lauderdale, but my point is the scale of the city, the layout of the city. We have a very walkable downtown, and it's very unusual to have 2 lanes in one way, 2 lanes the other, and the median strip between our 4-lane highway is actually stores and retail and restaurants. It's very unusual to be that way. There's some things there that so we can accomplish a lot by exposing some of the unique things that are here as a city layout and all. I-95 goes by, people go, I remember a long time when I was just even a kid driving by and go, oh, look at those things over there. I don't know what they're doing. Is that like a little Willy Wonka factory up here? I'm going, what? It's look industrial. We don't have a presence, maybe a beach ball, water tower, thing there now, but we really don't have some kind of a presence from the millions of people that drive by our city every single day and our entrances and things into the city on the east side on Dixie and Federal Highway and all. So there's some things here we will be engaging intimately, I'm sure, but I'm excited to have somebody like you all on board and that we can really put something out there that will get us the kind of exposure that I think that our city deserves. Thank you again. Thank you.
That closes our public comment on that item. It is time for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone against? Passes unanimously. Thank you. Executive Director's report.
Yeah, there's a couple different flyers in your packet. One is for Capture, which is a photo contest that we are hosting over at the Hatch. We're looking for high-res JPEGs specifically focused on hidden gems in Lake Worth. The submission deadline is coming up pretty quickly. We also have two other call to artists for T-shirt designs for Day of the Dead and also for designs. It's called Marigold's Memory and Magic, which of course has to do with Day of the Dead. We have an upcoming calendar of events taking place over at Hatch in your packet. We also have a new brochure that we put out that has all of our housing partners on one side and then all of the local nonprofits on the other. We find that a lot of people have a lot of questions about how exactly we buy properties, how do we participate with Habitat, the Community Land Trust, et cetera. And this hopefully will help people answer those questions and also be connected to services that they may need. I'm happy to say that the home buyers class is starting again in September, and that is with the community partners. I believe it's 6 weeks of classes to get you ready to purchase a home here in Lake Worth, hopefully. This past week, we dedicated 109 South D to the Brazier Caesar family. Many of you were there. We appreciate that. It was an absolutely lovely ceremony. We have another one coming up on August 21st. We actually have two families, the Noel Jeune family and the Guillaume family, and they will be at 406 and 408 South C. Those are both Habitat homes. Dedication takes place at 10 a.m. And last but not least, there are some circuit numbers in your packets as well. We've noticed that since we increased the boundaries, the trips have gone up substantially. The ridership, not as much. We have people who use it a lot, and but we don't really have a lot of new users coming on. So we are working on a video. We'll have that up on our website probably within the next week or so. And that's all I have. Thank you.
We have board member comments. We'll start with Donna.
Thanks for the meeting. It's a really good meeting. I like to especially like this last presentation. So welcome and looking forward to you guys getting on board and hearing about your work and seeing your work. Maybe we can get some proofs as we go along to see what you're developing. It's going to be audio visual as well. You're going to have stuff online, I'd imagine, right? So yeah, that's it. Thank you very much.
Daniel.
Well, today's gonna be my last day serving on the board, and so I wanted to just give a couple of final thoughts. When I first sought appointment to the board, I had come from a background of working at a nonprofit that helped a lot of individuals here in Lake Worth, and as a young guy growing up, I always had questions about how can we do things to improve the lives of individuals who, in particular, who I met through my experiences, individuals who I thought were doing everything they could to live their lives, and the fact that they live in poverty and insecurity, the health effects of their situation, made me think that there has to be something out there that can be used to better their lives. And life has always been difficult and challenging, and there's so much that any entity, government or otherwise, can do for individuals. But I know that the city government has a role to play in protecting these individuals, their rights to having housing, safe housing. There's a lot of emphasis on affordable housing. My experience here has taught me and reaffirmed my belief that the way we go about addressing the concerns and needs of residents is not meeting people where they are. I've prepared a couple little lines. There's a lot of like, I believe, over embellishment of what it is that we do. And I'm not saying the CRA is imperfect or hasn't contributed greatly to the city. When I accepted appointment to this board, I ran for commissioner, pitching the idea of sunsetting the CRA. I decided to join the CRA because I believe it's a tool, and when wielded correctly and used to help individuals, it can do so. And so that's why I wanted to be a part of it. And there's no doubt that the agency has done a lot of work. I want to address one thing that I think has been overhyped to the community. Doesn't mean it isn't significant, but I believe that this type of promotion of what we're doing can be misleading, and then therefore lack of information or half truths causes individuals in our community not to be able to make a full argument. Things are being presented to them in a nice, gifted Bowie way. And so one of the issues that I have, the CRA is accredited with bringing affordable housing to the city, but a large amount of the affordable units did not come from citizen-led plan to make housing affordable. It is an emergency patch applied by the federal government to rescue a collapsing real estate market. And I'm referring to NSP 1 and NSP 2 that received funding from the Housing and Economic Recovery Act and the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act. NSP 2 required applicants to target neighborhoods in economic freefall, which means the intervention was crisis management, not grassroots housing policy. NSP 2's stated goal in federal language was to stabilize neighborhoods and stem the decline of property values. I believe in prioritizing the preservation of property values. The program sowed the seeds for the very affordability crisis that it was meant to alleviate. The subprime mortgage crisis was largely a product of greed-driven speculation, risky lending, and a fixation on ever-rising property values. In a city made up of mostly renters, there's too much fixation on home ownership. We do not have the power or the money to convert the majority of the people into homeowners. The only thing we do have the power to do is to push out those who cannot afford home ownership. By involving ourselves in the housing market, I believe it's one of the byproducts. My other critique is the overconcentration of funds in the downtown. I believe a disappropriate share of public investment has been funneled into downtown Lake Worth, creating an imbalanced economic landscape. This focus risks neglecting other thriving commercial areas, particularly on the opposite side of town, where storefronts remain busy year-round without subsidies. Subsidizing a narrow demographic lifestyle. Public dollars are used to subsidize lifestyles rather than supporting broad-based community economic needs. The current approach caters primarily to a specific demographic and is a wrong use of public funds. I believe we're neglecting commercial corridors, contrasting subsidized downtown. Other commercial zones, such as across town, demonstrate sustained activity and customer engagement organically. Lack of sustainable business development. Investment in downtown businesses is heavily reliant on subsidies and incentives, raising the question, when will businesses be motivated to invest in downtown without public subsidies? True economic vitality requires market-driven demand, not perpetual subsidization. I believe there's a saturation and business overlap as well. Downtown suffers from an oversupply of similar businesses, leading to unhealthy competition for a limited customer base. This redundancy stifles business diversity and economic resilience. I think that, in my opinion, the people who make up the city, who could most benefit from government intervention, have not received the help through the means of the CRA. Of course, they're limited in their scope because of their bylaws. And I believe the CRA has done a lot of what it set out to do. And we are in playing a waiting game and seeing those investments pay off. But they have to pay off. We must reap eventually. The public must reap, and we must refocus our efforts on helping individuals who are truly suffering in the city. So I would like to say that I call for the sunsetting of the CRA and for those public dollars to return into public hands. A quote that I heard not too long ago, and mostly driven from our approach to WMOTA, which I believe is filled with deceit, and it hasn't been presented to the public in an honest way. The quote is that thieves of private property live their life in chains, where thieves of the public, or those who steal from the public, live their lives in riches. That's all I have to say, and thank you.
Could make me go after that. All right. I appreciate everybody coming to the meeting tonight and expressing your opinions. Daniel, I appreciate you expressing your opinions. You know, we don't always vote alike, do we? But I do listen to you, and I appreciate you expressing your opinions. I look forward to seeing you downtown over time and chatting. Anyway, Joan, Emily, Chris, good meeting as always. Thanks for putting it together. You did all right, David. So anyway, thanks, Chairman, for a good meeting. Appreciate it.
Daniel, thank you for your service. It has been an interesting several years. And I've always enjoyed your perspective because you do look out for a portion of the city that a lot of people often don't see. And I do appreciate that. So thank you for your service. I had the opportunity to attend the dedication of the home of a pastor and his wife and their 2 children. I cannot tell you how much joy this family felt after working for almost 2 years and over 400 hours that they volunteered for, and the difference that it's going to make for them. We don't talk about generational wealth, and many of us are used to generational wealth. And yet, in our family, I am the second generation of having a home that I will be able to leave to my children. These people are the first. And they were so filled with pride, and their kids were so happy, and just to walk through that house, and it's a little tiny house. It's not big, but it was beautiful and it was well put together, and they have a parking space, and they will be able to thrive there. And I think that has become a mission of the CRA that we can be proud of. We donate the land, and Habitat for Humanity does the work. And I've also worked on the builds, so I know what goes into putting that house together. And so we can't talk enough about, we don't get enough homes, but we are at least making a difference. And as for the size of our city, we do more affordable housing than a lot of cities that are a lot larger than us. So people need to know. That was my public comment. Thank you. And Leah, please make a public comment.
It was a good meeting. Thank you for allowing me to appear by Zoom while I travel for work.
Thank you, Madam Chair. David Tulsa, Board Attorney. First, I would like to thank the board for their vote of confidence this evening in myself and my firm. We've been working with the Lake Worth Beach CRA for many years, and we look forward to continue to support your efforts with your various projects here for years to come. And I would also like to thank Mr. Morgan, as well as Ms. Shamsi Basha. It's her last meeting as well. I've enjoyed working with you. I want to thank you for your time. I know that the compensation is not great, but the experience, pays for many years to come. So thank you very much, and wishing everyone a wonderful rest of the week.
I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Have a nice evening.